Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for Thursday, February 15th, 2024 to order at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Laflamme,
Here.
Zagorowski,
Here.
Balakir,
Here.
Brooks, Labrie,
Here.
Counselor Brooks? Counselor Brooks, are you on? I see you're on. You must be muted. Okay, we'll just put him as not attending yet. Okay, in compliance with the open meeting law, the city of Chicopee is recording this meeting. Is anyone in the audience, video or audio taping this meeting? If so, please state the reason for doing so in the name of your organization. Chicopee Register, thank you. Is there anyone on Zoom recording or taping this meeting? Please say your name and reason for doing so. Seeing none, we're going to start with item 1 on our agenda. Order that the sum of $73,390 be and hereby is appropriated to the following name account. Police Special Account for Building Renovations, account number 1210004-585006. Said amount is to be taken from available funds in the Stabilization Fund, capital budget account number 84001008-599980. Okay, so is there anyone here representing the police department? If so, if you can come up to the table here, preferably on one of the sides, Chief. Thank you. Thank you, Chief, for coming. First of all, I just want to thank the chief. I had a conversation with him after our city council meeting regarding this issue and worked with him to invite all city councilors. Many of us already have went, but it's particularly the new ones to go to the police department, to see the police department, what needed to be done, as well as get a tour. So thank you for doing that on behalf of the council, and those that have not been able to go, they will go in the future. Okay. Chief, if you could do a little explanation of the $73,390, what it was for, what it's going to be used for.
Sure. There were 5 areas within the police department that were not remodeled approximately 8 years ago when the main remodel project went through. That was the detective bureau, an interview room, my administrative assistant's office, a storage closet, and the prisoner booking area. And the counselors that walked through yesterday, as I showed them, the areas are outdated. The lighting in there is insufficient for our needs. And we want to bring it up to specs with the rest of the building that was completed 8 years ago.
And that, if I may, that was not part of the first phase.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I have no problem. I've already went over and looked at it, and my questions were answered by you earlier. Is there any counselor that have a question?
No.
Counselor Balakir.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Mr. President. Chief, two quick questions for you, please. When would this project be starting, and what is the projected length of this project, please? How long is it going to take, please?
Facilities Director Dave Rice has been working with the contractor. I believe that depending on when the funds are allocated, we were planning to start within 30 days. And I would foresee probably about a 6 weeks start to finish to get that project completed.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief.
You're welcome.
You all set?
All set.
Counselor Brooks, are you online on Zoom?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Participating this evening on Zoom will be Counselor Brooks. We called you 3 times. There was no response. So I see your name. So thank you. Do you have any comments, Shane, or questions?
Not in this order, no.
Is there any public input on this question of item number 1 on the agenda for public input? Is there anyone on Zoom for public input on item number 1? Any questions on Zoom on item number 1? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call.
Motion to close public input?
Motion made to close public input on that, item 1. Roll call.
Laflamme?
Yes.
Zagorowski?
Yes.
Valakir?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Labrie?
Yes.
And that's close. Okay, now I'll take a motion to appropriate the $73,390 for the police department budget.
Motion to appropriate $73,399.
Motion made and second that we approve $73,390 to the police department. Item number 1. Roll call, please.
Laflamme?
Yes.
Zagorowski?
Yes.
Valakir?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Labrie?
Yes.
5-0.
And the motion passes. Thank you,
you.
Chief, for coming in.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, before we go to item number 2, if the commissioners could please sit around the table here and so that the public can see you through that way, you can sit around this table for questions instead of one at a time, if you like to sit around the table. In the golf, yes. And the auditor, yes. She's part of it. Yeah, you're part of item number 1 and the city auditor. Also, I believe participating this evening on Zoom is Commissioner Glenn LaPlante. Is that correct? Glenn LaPlante. Thank you. Okay. Okay, item number 2, be it ordered that the Golf Commission and auditor for the city of Chicopee come before the finance committee to discuss the department's expenses, revenue, and status of becoming self-sufficient, self-supporting. Okay. We'll go with this one here. We'll do public input first because there's quite a bit of it if you like. Let's do public input first. Anyone here for public input from the floor? Just come on up to the mic.
Susan Goff, 4 Kurt Street in Chicopee. The golf course has continually lost money within the last 10 years. They've lost close to $2 million or over $2 million. Tax bills in Chicopee have increased. The golf course pays no property tax, so we're losing revenue there on all those acres of land. Chicopee carries the liability for the liquor license and the golf course. So if something happens, it's Chicopee's responsibility. The price for everything has gone up, and I understand that. I've had to adjust my budget to reflect those price increases. If I can't afford it, I don't buy it. Essential, necessary services are police, fire, DPW, our schools, our senior center, and our veterans. The golf course is not an essential service. It's a luxury that most people in Chicopee can't afford. Parks, bike path, the boat ramp, that's all free. Those are all recreations that are free, that people can do without a cost to them. In 2011, the golf course was paved at a cost of $65,000. That year, they lost $115,000. So that means the taxpayers paid for that golf course to be paved. I can't even get any streets paved. I keep asking to have our streets paved. We don't have money for that, but yet we have money to pave at the golf course at the taxpayers' expense. The taxpayers should be paying for essential services and for services that benefit everybody in the city, to have their roads paved, to have safe streets, the police department, the schools, the DPW. Essential services are not a luxury, not like the golf course. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public input from the floor?
Lisa Ginsburg, 34 Everett Street. I actually wish you would have done the discussion first, so that we could hear about the revenues from the golf course. Because I think it's a disservice to the public that's come here to hear what the discussion is. I'm not against the golf course, but I am concerned with the way the dialogue has been going, that it seems like there can't be any discussion on the cost and the revenues. And I did sit through all the budget hearings last year, and it was eye-opening, because basically those budgets came in, some questions were asked, and then they were approved. So there really isn't any discussion on revenues. And I don't think it's just the golf course. I think it has to be the revenues across the city, because those are changing, and the public has a lot more access to that knowledge. I pulled the cherry sheets for the past couple of years. That's all online. I pulled the revenues for the city of Chicopee, all online. The itemized budget stuff, that's all online from the auditor's office. So the Division of Local Services, all of that information is there. And I guess, we want to know, when you look at things like the cannabis impact fee, which had an estimate for fiscal year 2023 of 1.3 million, the actual was $292,777. That's a big difference. That was revenue for us. So I really think it behooves the city council to be questioning all the revenue, because when you go to the city council meetings, what you see is requests come in for money, and it's sacrilege for the public to question the money. So this isn't about being against the golf course. This is about knowing how our tax dollars are being used. I don't care who's on the golf commission. I don't care how many members, how many people go to the golf course. I think it's a good thing. The junior tournament is a good thing. I don't care who's friends with who in the neighborhood. What I care about is the money coming into the city, and if it's being used in the best way. And does that mean that unfortunately some things become a lower priority because streets, which we all know are in rough condition, are a higher priority? Then so be it. But that's what the discussion has to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other comments from the floor?
Sue Nemchick, James Street. I've never played golf. Okay, all the other sports, yes, throughout high school and everything. But when I did hit the golf ball, it would go far. About a foot above the ground, though, but it went far. But I know one thing, through all my childhood and everything, not everyone was playing golf. So is it essential? I don't want to take the power away from golf or anything like that. But some of the comments today were spot on in terms of budgets, in terms of, citizens, children, our budget, seniors, and where are the essentials for the budget to meet? Okay. The other thing is, don't want to be crude or anything like that. Members of the council or any of the city officials, are they also on your board or however it's set up? Is there conflict there? Not that you're an athlete and that you love golf, but is there a conflict of interest there? Or at least tell the public that you're on the board, as well as the council or subcommittees or whatever. So everyone is entitled to know who's who, always the truth, the factuals and the actuals, so that people are aware. And I always go back to essentials and budgets, because I look for champions who will tell the truth and represent. And thank goodness, Susan, you're proving yourself a champion. So well done. And hopefully it's not just one champion for the whole council, but 13. And I think 13 is a lucky number. and for representation, especially in this day and age, with budgets all across the nation in dire straits. I'm kind of appalled that, the statistics, 2 million over the past number of years, that's now. I mean, I've been self-employed since 1983 and helping clients to retirement and lifelong incomes that just keep increasing, even if their cash goes down to zero. And whenever I sit in front of a client, I want the very, very best. Just like when I come here on a freaking freezing evening, a better, best Chicopee in all avenues for children, for seniors, and also the peanut butter and marshmallow, the in-betweeners. Okay, so please consider this in terms of service to the public so they know everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sorry. Anyone else for public input from the floor?
Thank you, counselors. The public, thank you for coming down. My name is Mary Beth Costello, and
Address, please.
I'm living at 66 Voss Avenue. Thank you. I have been reading a lot in the media about the state revenues are down, and that the governor has asked cities, towns, different state agencies to cut their budget. So we have to look at that. We have to look me as a taxpayer, as well as a member of the city, that where are we going to make these cuts? It has been suggested schools. As a 24-year member of the school committee, that's not the way to go coming out of a pandemic. But if the money and the state revenues are not there, then we have to make cuts. Public safety. We had our police chief here who's done an outstanding job as police chief. We have a great police department. I was there yesterday on the tour. Very happy. As a former probation officer, I went out with them on home visits. Very professional. Again, are they going to get cut? Senior citizens, are they going to get cut? So the question is, where's the golf course going to get cut? If we have to cut all these departments because state revenues are down, no department may be exempt in this. This is something we have to deal with. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the floor for public input?
Excuse me, Stan Walzak, 33 La Riviere Drive. My reasoning today is to talk about service to the people of Chicopee and what the golf course provides. It's one of the top golf courses, not only in Massachusetts, but throughout New England. And, one of the things I'm proud about the golf course is how it helps many of the other nonprofits in this city. I'm a volunteer at Lorraine's Soup Kitchen. My wife is treasurer at the Soup Kitchen. So let me just say, first of all, last year, the golf tournament at Lorraine's raised $17,500. Where did that money go? It helped people with food insecurity. Today, from 10 to 2, people came to get food distribution. About 30 or 40 people. This evening, from 4 to 6, 130 people were served. And we also have a mobile van that goes around to 16 sites every month in the city. Where did they get all this money from? They got it from the golf course, $17,500. And Lorraine's is not the only one that is a benefactor from the golf course. Let me just read a few other people that benefit very well. Chicopee Boys and Girls Club, Sunshine Village, St. Stan's School, Chicopee Portuguese Club. They give out $1,000 worth of scholarships every year. Friends of the Chicopee Library, another group that raised almost $16,000 as a result of having a golf tournament at Chicopee Country Club. So there is some benefit to the community, and this golf course helps a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the floor for public input? Please come to the mic.
My name's Eugene Prisbilowitz, 11 Caddyshack Drive, Chicopee. And I'm just going to expand a little on what Stan says about the fundraising that goes on there and the things they support. And also, people don't realize that this is a park. It's a park just like any other park in the city. Thing is, this does bring in some revenue like the other parks. Mrs. Goff said they're free. Nothing's free. I learned that a long time ago. I lived here 71 years. Nothing is free. If you believe that, I got a bridge I can sell you. The other thing, this is an extension of the senior center. And you're all scratching your heads, why? Monday through Friday, every 9 minutes, starting at 6 a.m., this course sends out seniors. Over 90% of the golfers are seniors. Not every senior goes to the senior center. It's a great place. You can socialize. You can have your coffee there. You guys see the advertisements on TV. You can do your yoga. It still costs the city money. This is an extension of the senior center. These people don't go there and play cards, or maybe they do. Maybe they go and play billiards after they got done with their round of golf. But every day that course is filled with seniors, Monday through Friday. Most other people are working. Like I said, it's every 9 minutes. And instead of just looking at figures on paper, being a paper pusher, some of these people, if they can find a golf course, should stop by and take a look, spend some time there and see what actually goes on. I think the wording at the end, country club, messes people up. They think it's the Ritz. The course is in great shape. It's a jewel. It's probably one of the only jewels the city has. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments from the floor?
Hello, my name is David Rossi. I live at 106 Morrow Drive, Chicopee. I wasn't going to say much, but I did want to say, right, I played in a corporate league for Monarch Life Insurance Company and Mass Mutual Life Insurance Company at the Chicopee Country Club for years. I believe it still goes on there. As far as the prices, I mean, they could raise the prices on stuff like that. I mean, everybody loved that course. Everybody loves that course. They still love it. So I think there's ways, as far as there's ways to bring in better revenue and stuff like that. I mean, as they all said, it is a gem of the city. It brings a lot of people into the city, and you're looking at building up that Burnett Road area. I mean, you know, it brings people all along that entire corridor. I mean, you see the traffic flow that comes in along that corridor. I mean, it's quite a bit. I think there's things that can be done at the country club to generate better revenues. I believe with this woman here, I believe we all need to just look at the budget, see where everything lies. I believe there's trimming in other departments that could be done, certainly, you know, and I'm not saying that the golf course is exempt. But I mean, I am saying, you know, after all these years, I mean, living in that area, the people in that area, people throughout the city enjoy that park. And that's what it is. It's a park. You know what I'm saying? And so with that being said, I think there's a way to generate better revenues. We can look at the finances, and I still think it's something that the city truly is, it's a gem and it is known for, and we should definitely keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other ones from the floor? Any others from the floor? Is there any comments from Zoom? Is there any comments from Zoom?
Motion to close public input.
Motion made and second to close public input. Roll call.
Laflamme,
Yes.
Borowski,
Yes.
Valakir,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Labrie,
Yes.
And the motion passes. Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mike to give his presentation of, and then we'll ask questions after. So we're not going back and forth here. We'll let you do a little presentation, then you can fill in the blanks.
Sure. Thank you.
And if you could, every time you talk, folks, just say your name. First name is fine, because they have to get it off so that we can do the transcript.
Mike O'Neill, the director of golf at Chicopee Country Club. A lot of good input from the public input. Obviously, being at that golf course for a number of years now, I've watched it. I've been there for about 10 years. And when I started, it was not in the best of shape. And they did, the golf commission did hire an outside entity to take care of the maintenance of the golf course. I had played there 12, 13 years ago, and it was in very, very poor shape. And I believe at that time the numbers were down. But since then, each year, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it takes a long time for the golf course to get in the nice condition. And the management company that we've had, International Golf Management, they've been on there each year that I've been there, and they've done a tremendous job turning that golf course around to be in spectacular condition. And I think that was the golf commission's foresight. I think it was 11 years ago when they first went out and brought this company on. And just so the public knows, the contract, I believe the first year was 3 years, and then every year the contract's up, it does go out for request for proposal, so it's open for anybody to put a bid in for the job. It just so happened this past year nobody did bid against them, so they are on for another 5 years. That just went into effect this past month. We're very happy to have them. They continue to help our revenues go up each year. It has been going up, increasing every year. The expenses, yes, there are quite a bit. I don't know how many of you are aware. The year, I think it was in 2013, the city did go out and get a new irrigation system. That's a $1.8 million bond. So each year we get hit with $130,000 of that bond, plus the interest, which every year we're basically starting off, and this is a rough number, as little as 165,000 in the red. And earlier on in when the bond first came out, it was over 200,000 in the red. So it is tough to make that up. But I will say, since COVID in 2020, with that bond being set aside, and I realize it's part of the expenses, it's there, and it will be there for another 3 years. But without that bond, we would have been in the black 350,000. So yes, we have been close to 2 million or so that in the red over the last 10 years. But I will say, with increasing our revenue each year, and by doing that, we have been raising prices. We've been raising prices pretty much yearly, but we have to stay in the ball game with the other municipal golf courses. We cannot price ourselves out of it, because if you do, people are going to pick up and just go to another golf course, no matter how great your golf course is, condition-wise, service-wise. So we want to be in that ballpark. We know we're heading in the right direction. We are confident that our revenues are increasing each year and in time, it will level off a little better with the expense. But I just wanted to make it known that that is a big part of our expenses, that bond that we are paying back, and we have a few years left on that, but I think we're going to be in good shape going forward.
Okay, is there any other commissioners that would like to speak? How about you? Glenn, do you have anything on Zoom? I can't see your hand up anywhere. Do you have anything to see as a commissioner? Okay, seeing none.
Hold on. Tommy's looking for somebody. Oh, Tom, you want to speak on this?
I can't hear you, Frank.
You can't hear you.
Can't hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. Is there any commissioners that would like to speak on the floor?
The only thing I like to say is,
Could you make sure your mic is on and say your first name, last name for the first time?
I got a green light, is that on? Okay. All right,
Tommy
I'm one of those guys you need the 5-minute public input. I'm not a good speaker. But anyway, I want to talk about the golf course a little bit. I've been a commissioner up there for quite a few years, on and off. I'm appointed by a few mayors. And it's like I repeated, like Mike said, it's been improving to the point now where we are one of the top golf courses in the area. And we host the AJGA golf tournament from the juniors. They come worldwide. They play there every year, and they actually compliment that course like any more courses I ever heard of getting compliments. Recently we had the superintendent from the Augusta National course where the Masters is held, because his daughter was participated in that tournament, and he came up to some of the staff after, and he couldn't realize this was a public golf course. He says, we have Masters, which we have an unlimited amount of money to put into a course and unlimited manpower to work on a course. He says, with your group, you have there maybe 13, 14 people tops for maintenance in the summer, and your pro shop staff, that place is comparable to the Masters. Other than, we dress it up with, millions of dollars of flowers, but playing conditions and course-wise is second to none. He said it is in great condition. And the Masters, not the Masters, but the AGA tournament, they come in and they put a lot of money into the city of Chicopee and the area communities, hotels, gas, restaurants. They're there for a week. They come from all over the world, and they're there all week, and they spend that money. And every year that money amount is coming up to our what we'd like to see spent in the city. It's not something that the taxpayers have to absorb. It's something that the taxpayers are gaining on. Meals taxes, sales taxes, gasoline taxes, stuff like that. It doesn't mean a lot to the golf course, but it means a lot to the community. So we're, in that sense, we are helping the community, and in that kind of a way. Like Mike said, we got IGM, our cart revenues. We bought carts, and our cart revenues pay for our carts tremendously over and over again. Our money goes deposited into the general fund. We don't see any of that money. Whatever profits we make, it helps towards our thing, but all that money goes to the general fund. I think Sharon could probably talk more about that because she's the expert. But other than that, I really have too much more to say on that. We hold major, like one of the public input people said, we hold 25, 30, up to 30 tournaments a year. And usually some organization, usually a nonprofit organization, benefits from our course, from the revenue that they raise there. And we've been raising our rates we study that, we look at it, we raise our rates, and but there's, like Mike said, there's where we have to stop so we don't price ourselves out. And our superintendent, I just want to say, we went to that IGM a few years ago, back into sometime 2011 or whatever it was, because we almost lost that course. We come up to 3 or 4 greens, our practice green, a couple of greens on a course. We went downhill, really went downhill, and nobody knew why. So we decided we had to do something about it, and we figured we could save money through vacations, retirement, sick leave, whatever benefits they had, and we did. And we went that way, and believe me, I believe that was the right way to go, and the way to continue, because our superintendent is probably well known throughout New England and probably the East as being one of the best. When we were going to hire him, I remember years ago, Tommy DeRico was still there. And I asked Tom, I says, his name was mentioned as being the superintendent at the course if they got hired. I asked Tommy, I said, Tommy, is that gentleman, you're in the golf world? He says, he's one of the best in New England. And believe me, we made a real good choice there. He brought that course back. The 3 greens, and I don't know if any people know how much greens are. Greens are very expensive. Some greens are up to $90,000, $100,000 of value. So I mean, plus we have 20 greens at that course. That's a lot of greens to make sure. That guy goes out in the middle of every day. He goes out and he checks every green, because you have to be very proactive and maintaining turf. Funguses can come in overnight and wipe out a good part of your green if you don't pick it up. It's something that people don't understand, and they need that kind of a eye on that course. I think that's about all I have to say. I just want to, we are probably one of the biggest assets in the city of Chicopee right now. We have Zot Park, we have the pools. I mean, if you look at a pool, when that goes, how much money it costs for the filtration system and stuff like that. I remember years ago, we were spending millions of dollars on filtration systems, and that's not bringing in revenue. I think it's been proven by our revenue guidelines and all that we are doing, and we are making revenue. It's not revenue because on the black side, where we like most of the times, like we'd like to see it, it's on the red because of that bond. Like Michael said, if it wasn't for that bond, we'd be a revenue producer. So, and as far as going, we've asked several times in the past about maybe being self-sustaining, going to that kind of a thing. And we were told it's not a very good idea, because our business, one of our big asset, or not an asset, but contention out there is weather. We have no control over the weather. Rain, frost delays in the morning, those kind of things. This last year, we lost over 30 days in rain and frost delays. That's a lot of revenue, but we can't do anything about that. It's out of our control. Hopefully God will be with us, and we can get better weather. But that's one of the things that we have no control of. So, I think I said enough. But I'll leave it to you guys to ask questions.
Okay, thank you. Glenn LaPlante?
Yes, can you hear me, Chairman?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman LaFlamme. My name is Glenn LaPlante. I am a golf commissioner here. I live in Angela Drive. I had the pleasure as a young child to actually work at the golf course where the summer programs were available through the city. And it definitely gave me an interest, and it definitely gave me the willing to be a part of the golf course in some way, shape, or form. I don't golf a lot, but I have every interest in the golf course and I know the beauty behind it. But a couple things that I think are very important here is the bond. The bond is a huge. I'm a small businessman. I understand the bond is a huge thing. The bond is being paid by the golf course, by the revenues we take in. As Mr. Rovac said, the swimming pools are an expense. They sell passes for the swimming pools. They're not bringing in any way, shape, or form the amount of money they would need to repair the swimming pools. We are bringing in a lot of money to the city. And if we didn't have a bond, we would be on the plus side. There's no doubt about it. We're only a couple of years away from the bond. And, every year since I've been on the commission, we have increased sales. I also wanted to make another point. The golf course itself, a year, we basically, rate how many rounds you get in on a golf course. And a lot of that depends on weather. So based on that alone, last year, 37,000 people played golf at Chicopee Country Club. 37,000. Okay, that does not include the people that come to use the driving range or the clinics that our director puts on, or the ladies' clinics, the youth camps, the high school teams that play, both Chicopee High Comp and the visiting teams play at Chicopee there. And people come to the restaurant, not just to golf, just to have, dinner, lunch. So there's well over 40,000 people that step foot on that property. And that property is a park. The city owns that property. It's a park. It's available to anybody that wants to go there. It's not just available to people that want to golf. So that's a lot of people that touch foot on that property. And one of the other things I just want to let known is that, okay, we do not get discounted anything, okay? We pay the highest rate as everybody else does for our water bill. And what does the golf course need most? Is water. You need water and fertilizer to have the grass grow in order to have the course in great shape. Okay, our water bill is extreme. We've asked if we could get a discount on our water. We pay a regular same rate as everybody else pays in the city. So I think, when you're looking at departments, golf course is a department, but I don't know any other department in the city of Chicopee, whether it be the forestry, the water, that actually raises income to offset the cost to maintain their products, maintain their building, maintain their course. No other department that I know of actually brings in revenue, and especially the kind of revenue that the golf course will bring in. And I appreciate the time to speak, and I'm available for any questions, and I thank you.
Thank you. If you could put your hand down now, so next time I'll see if you're putting it up. Glenn.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, with that said, I'm just going to start by asking just a couple of questions here, back and forth, and then, why don't we, is the committee all set? I'm going to ask Sharon. Sharon, or could you give us the difference between if this was privatized versus the city running the cost, if you know it off the top?
You're not talking self-supporting, you're talking privatizing.
Whether we privatize this versus the city, the way we're doing it.
Okay. This is not the first time this topic has come up. I've been here for 40 years and it seems cyclical
Could you just,
I'm sorry.
No,
I thought I had a big mouth. Every time board changes, commission changes, people think maybe we should move to that. I remember one time we put it out to bid for privatizing it. No one bid. We couldn't get one bite to do that. So I don't even know that that's even an option anymore. I think we've tried it in the amount of time that I've been working here. I think we tried it twice and I don't think there were any bites. Now self-supporting, that's a different thing. To make somebody a true self-supporting department, it has to be voted on. It has to be set up differently. It's its own fund. All of the costs associated with the department move into their budget, their bonds, their interest, their pension fund share, their medical insurance, their unemployment, their workman's comp, anything, all of those things would be included. And those are the things that anybody that's asked me for my golf report, many years I've battled with the commissioners because they don't like to see the indirect costs on there, but they're truly a cost of the department. So if you want to know, is it truly covering its own cost? More times than not, it isn't, but the commissioners are right in what they're saying. It's because of the irrigation bond each year. They start in the hole every year. 150,000, years before that, it was over 200,000. So when you wipe that bond out, that will go away. But of course, with a golf course, there's also always something else to be done, you know, and the money has to come from somewhere. So, you know, we all know that. So I'm not saying anything that anybody hasn't thought of, but you know, there's a lot of indirect costs, and those exist in every department of the city, even my own. It's not unique to golf course or any other, and they're not borne by the department unless it is set up as a true enterprise fund. And our golf course was never set up or intended to be that way. At least not to this day, it hasn't. You know, I've always showed it this way. So every time the subject comes up, you can see it. But the truth be told, if you set it up as a self-supporting department and it doesn't make it, are you going to close the golf course? Probably not, but then it's just going to be subsidized by the city anyway. They're going to make up the difference. Just like water, just like sewer. Water and sewer haven't been doing so hot the last couple of years either. They have to keep raising their rates. People are complaining. And, you know, it's the same goes for any self-supporting department. So I don't have a horse in the race. I just say the numbers as they come in. And, you know, I know it's a gem to the city. I'm not a golfer, but I think it brings a lot of commerce into Chicopee, and you know, that's how I feel.
Sharon, could we get a revenue versus expense reports so that the city council, in case anybody calls and can we get that?
Would you like an email to you? I mean, how many years? I mean, I've got a lot of requests from counselors, and I've emailed them to. I brought 10 years with me, but not
you
10
have
years
10 years with you?
I have 10 years with me, but
No,
not for everybody. But
if you could just get one copy to our office, I can go
yeah,
I can go down and look at it there. Any council
yeah,
can.
I have them. I'll give it to Agnes.
Please, if you can get it for all the councilors to look at that, I would appreciate that.
Sure.
I'm going to first of all, I want to mention I've been on the golf course for several times. I've never golfed in my life. I don't care to chase a ball. I have other things to do, so I'm not a golfer. But I do know a lot of people that do golf, and they love it there. I too work for a big company. I just retired from Mass Mutual, and every time I go places in there, people talk about Chicopee, how that course is in Chicopee. So again, I visited a couple of times, and I think you guys are doing a great job. But my next question real quick would be to Mike. You touched on a little bit, but the golf course regarding, because I can remember when I first got on before we privatized the maintenance part of it. When we talk about that's they're not out there to make revenue for us. The equipment as well as everything. This company takes care of not only the course, they're maintaining all the equipment, and we've been buying less. It's been lasting a lot longer, and as well as it's been taken care of, because I remember going there and there was like a cemetery in the back of equipment, in the back of the garage there, and other equipment. So I think that there alone saved us a lot of money in maintaining that equipment, as we do for the rest of the city, because equipment, trucks are not cheap, or anything, even your lawn equipment. You've been before us for a couple pieces of equipment. Without that equipment, if it doesn't do good, it ruins the parks. Just no different than what we buy for the parks department and every other department. I do have some others later, but I'm going to start with Shane because he's online, so I don't forget it. He won't have to wave his hand to me that he's on. Shane, go ahead with your questions.
All right. President Flam, if I could, through the chair to the auditor. Sharon, I guess let me back up. What is the average indirect cost? Because, I work for a large corporation, and our average indirect from year to years hovers around 12 to 13.5%. What's the city's indirect cost?
It's a hard thing to gauge depending on the number of people in the department and everything as a whole. I mean, the things that we include, like with pension fund and stuff like that, I've always heard that the norm is about 13, but I come up with the actual. I get what the actual cost is when I'm doing these. I go to, for unemployment. I find out what the actual cost it was to the city for property insurance. We have a composite rate per vehicle. I get the actual rate, Medicare tax share. I figure out exactly what we have to match for every payroll. You know, and like when you're talking the bonds, it's the actual cost of that bonds and interest. So I don't know that if you include everything, I think when they're talking those indirect costs, they're talking about personnel related ones, but there's other things included in ours that are not personnel related, like the irrigation system and whatnot, because it's a price borne by the city, but it's not borne in that department's budget. It's in another budget. It's in the treasurer's budget.
Okay. And then has Governor Healy reached out directly to the city asking for any money back? I understand there were 9C cuts that were related to, and they were largely related to revenue that had been allocated, but wasn't going to be fully expended. That was the girth of her 9C cuts. Has there been a direct ask from anyone in state government for the city to revert any monies back?
Oh, no.
No. So the 9C cuts were largely affecting state government, not municipalities.
Yeah.
Okay. And then to put it in perspective, if the city attempted to use all the reserves to retire all the debt that we carry through different bonds that the city has taken out over the years, how far in the hole would the city be in general?
Well, our FY24 bond payments, including all funds, now we're including general fund, water and sewer, totaled over $16 million. So the biggest part is sewer, with a lot of our mandates and our water pollution abatement trust. They're the biggest debt that we carry. Behind them, it's obviously the general fund. Most of the big amounts for the general fund are school-related buildings, et cetera. Our biggest debt that we're carrying right now is the high schools. And they're long projects, so they're on our budget for a long time.
Right. So I guess my point, and not to be, to simplify this, if the city attempted present day to retire every penny of every bond, the city would be in a significant debt position.
That would be really crazy to do.
Oh, absolutely. I don't disagree, but I guess my point being is that we've all collectively as a city understood the function of bonds in order to run not only the golf department, but the city in general. And that's been the accepted business practice, that we enter long-term bonds
to
accomplish tasks that the city deems necessary.
Correct. It's basically to spread the burden out over years instead of tax the taxpayers very large amounts in a short period of time. That's been the preferred way. And certainly there have been times, depending on the project, that we've used other available funding sources, which you've seen over the years, ARPA funds, stabilization, and others where we can, but we don't want to deplete. We don't want to deplete our reserves, because on the flip side, if you have no reserves, you don't get a good interest rate when you borrow.
Bond, correct.
Half dozen one, 6 of the other.
Right. And I was just trying to draw the distinction about, the negative perception of the golf course carrying a bond when the city in turn carries multiple bonds that will span out far greater than a 3-year period that the golf course will incur the additional expense related to the irrigation system. And I think it's inaccurate to publicly state that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has asked cities to bear the brunt of some of the cuts that are being made. That's not accurate. The 9C cuts affected only state government. And as far as the state revenue goes, there was an overestimation based on a billionaire's tax that was never going to come to fruition, because many of the billionaires who resided in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, as soon as that tax was implemented, they fled the state. So the state bears some responsibility for not making the appropriate budget revisions based on the lack of revenue that was going to be available, because if you had 10 billionaires, you were going to get X amount of dollars. Now you got 5 who flee the state because they don't want to be taxed at that rate when there's much more tax-friendly states in New England. You're not going to generate the revenue based on, a fictitious billionaires tax that was never going to come to bear any fruit for the Commonwealth. I'll ask additional questions later on to give others a chance to ask their first question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, now we'll go to Counselor LaBrie.
Yes, hi. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank everybody for coming out. Sharon, could you give me just a glimpse of any year, in the last couple of years, the revenue versus the expenses? We take in X amount of dollars and we have, so much in expenses. And what's the shortfall? Is it 2%? Is it 3%?
Okay, so let's look at the last year, FY23, and this is on a fiscal year because that's the way the budget falls. It's not on a golf season, although I've been asked sometimes to do it on a golf season, which really doesn't make sense to me. But in FY23, actual costs. Now, for actual costs, we're talking actual salaries, operating expenses, your maintenance agreement, your golf cart lease, any purchase of equipment. Let me rephrase that. Any purchase of equipment that wasn't purchased with revolving funds, only those that came from the general fund, because the golf course does have revolving funds as well, and the GPS on their golf course. So their total actual costs for FY23 were $1,286,000 in round numbers. Now that's actual costs. The revenues for the same year, their actual revenues, which includes games, catering rental, tournament fees, rental of carts, golf lessons, miscellaneous revenue, and gift certificates, totaled $1,371,000. Where it goes astray is when you bring in your indirect costs, which is the one that we've been going around about, your retirement, medical insurance, dental insurance, unemployment, property insurance, vehicle insurance, Medicare tax share, and your bonds and interest, and your administrative support. Now, that's a line item that has an accepted methodology for calculating it, which is based on what departments in City Hall provide support to the golf course. Auditing, treasurers, payroll, our purchasing department, our IT department, any other departments that our law department, anybody that provides a service to the law department. Anybody, if they were self-supporting, like water and sewer, we would charge them an administrative cost. And so when you bring those in, that's another $225,000. That's what brings it in the red. Before that, they're in the black.
Okay.
By about 100,000.
Okay, thank you for that. I just want to go on record and say that, I haven't golfed in 10 years. I have been down to the golf course a few times, and, because everybody tells me what great shape it's in, I go down there and it is beautiful. Scenery is beautiful. And in my opinion, there's no better use for that property. You take that property and try to develop it, there's wetlands everywhere. It just laid out perfect. I know there was can't remember his name. I'm sure you guys remember who designed the course, and around all those wetlands. There's no way you could put houses and build things with the ponds and the brooks and everything running through it. And again, that's my opinion. So talking about that, and earlier we were talking about, we offer tennis courts, people don't have to pay. Bike paths, people don't have to pay. We offer organizations use of all our ball fields, and there's many ball fields that we take care of, let the people pay. They don't, the kids don't have to pay. One thing, in my ward, we had a swimming pool, and the cost of the swimming pool was $2 million. Now, we never get anywhere close the money back for the $2 and $3 a badge that we charge them. It's something that the city offers. We have, people want to go bowling. You've got to pay to go bowling. You want to go golfing, you've got to pay to go golfing. And everywhere I go, You know, people say, oh, Chicopee Country Club. You know, maybe years ago, they used to say, oh, you got Spalding, you got Uniroyal. But now, you know, more and more, I hear we got that, and it's in great shape. And, you know, I wouldn't want to privatize it. It just, we have control over it. And I think it is going to make money, and that, you know, water irrigation system was much needed. We got to pay for it, and it should come out of the revenue of, you know, the golf course, and it is. So for that little money, you know, let's say we lost $225,000 last year. You know, we have Zat Park. It's a beautiful park. Okay, we all can go walk in Zat Park, but we have a cost. You know, we keep that up. And my guess is it's around $1 million a year. 3 people working out there all the time, and it's beautiful. And people walk around Zot Park, which are really city streets. So, you know, those are just my opinion, and I'm haven't golfed in 10 years. I just think it's a perfect use for that. And over the years, it's been, one year, and I think 2021 it made some money. But you were talking, once the bonds paid off, we have the numbers. People are going and playing rounds, I have the number of rounds they played last year, and that keeps going up. And that's our goal, to, in your opinion, I'll direct this to the director of golf, superintendent. And here's one of the questions: are we going to become self-supporting, in your opinion, in the next 2-3 years, once that bond's paid off? You said we had a few years, but I think we only have a couple of years on that.
2027.
3 years.
November of 27.
Okay, so, after that, do you think we'll be supporting?
I don't think so. Not in my opinion. Like Sharon said, there's always going to be some things that we need. I know in time we're going to need a new roof. There's always going to be something we need, pieces of equipment. But I don't think we'll be self-supporting. I think the way it's run right now is the best way to run it. And that's my opinion.
Okay, I'm all set, Chairman.
All right, thank you. If you can just clarify some for me, that Councilor Bree just said. He just mentioned about the property, the land and that. But correct me if I'm wrong, this park cannot be sold for development. Am I correct on that? It has to, yes, to Sharon.
Parkland.
Can you?
Sorry. I don't know I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure with any city park land, you cannot take it without replacing it with
double you want. But no, wasn't this gifted by somebody, or?
I don't.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
I thought it was, in my opinion, but it's park. It cannot be just sold for development. Okay. All right, thank you, because I just want to clear, because that's what I heard, and I'll look it up in the future. Okay, now I'm going to go through all the councilors first, then you can talk. Councilor Balakir.
Yeah, thank you. Sharon, a quick question. Going back to 2021, if we could go back in time, it appears that there were excess revenues over expenditures. Is there any particular line item that would point as to why that we had that positive year in your report? If you have it, if you don't have it, maybe we could look at that a little bit closer, but I'm just wondering if something different happened in that particular year.
Well, we didn't have a golf cart lease.
Okay.
That's a biggie. The golf cart lease is 150,000 right there. When there was correct me if I'm wrong, there was years once we owned them, right? Once the lease is paid off, we own them, and we run them until we need to replace them. So you take that golf cart lease off of your budget, all of a sudden you're in the black.
Okay, so you think that was probably the biggest
Well, that's the difference between 21 and 23.
Okay, all right. Okay, good. All right, thank you.
You all set? Okay. Councilor Rossi, you got questions? Go ahead.
I just want to say that I do not golf either. I have no interest in golf. I ran down a golf tournament there for the benefit of the kids of the city of Chicopee, and we did good. That's what supported the program with the police department. I've been up to that course. I drove around on the golf course in my days as a dare officer. But right now, I believe the time I've gone up there has been one of the most beautiful sights you could have. If I'm not mistaken, the original person to do that was one of our mayors, I think. It was before, I can't think of his name. Lysick. I think Lysick was interested in that, I think, back then, what I heard. But the courses, I don't hear anybody ever complain about it. And, we're not going to cut their revenues. I realize it makes money. It continues to make money. And it's a benefit for a lot of our seniors and young people. I've been down to senior center and they love it down there, but a lot of them don't like going there. They go golfing. I don't golf at all, so I have no interest how I vote on this. I'm in support of it. Yeah, we're going to spend a little money to keep it going, but I think the management of that golf course is unbelievable, and I think it'll stay that way. We all wish that every department made money, but this is not a money maker. It's a privilege for our citizens, young and old, because there's young people that golf there, old people love it, and the prices are very reasonable when I talk to some of them that I see. I just want to emphasize that, Frank as president, me as vice president, we do not golf. So how our vote's going to be is going to be on the information that we received. And I'm sure there's a lot more information that could come to being. It's not money that we're going to take from other departments. I mean, it was mentioned before, what are we going to start taking from the police, the fire, building? That's never going to happen. As far as I'm concerned, we'll never cut the police and fire department. And I very rarely will use this phrase, never. But people want to have, when they need a policeman, they want them there. When not firemen, they want a truck there. So that budget in there, I will never touch it. And I'm not embarrassed to say it. Some people think we're going to start cutting all over the place. It's not going to happen. I think this council has been very frugal. We've worked with all the department heads, including the treasurer, including our auditor. I mean, I go up there sometimes with Sharon and I have no idea what I'm even talking about sometimes. When I'm done with her, I believe her. She's been there long enough. She has the expertise. And I believe the golf course should remain the way it is. And again, I'm emphasizing, I do not golf. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go next. Being first. It was mentioned in public input, Mike, or about raising fees for, how are we competitive? Will that help us or hurt us? And what is the plan?
Well, I think the plan is and has been for the past several years to increase the fees little by little. In other words, we generally go up $1 to $2 a year on the daily green fees, and we do have season passes that are out there for residents, for non-residents. Anybody can buy a season pass. It's like buying a ski pass. You pay a fee in advance for the year, and you can play all year. We do that with the golf carts too. And you want to. It's like anything. It's economics. You want to go up, but you don't want to go up so much that you're going to scare away the individual, the golfer, to go to another course. And we have other great municipal golf courses around us in the area, many, and they're all good. But there are competitions, so you don't want to lose that golfer. So you have to go up little by little. And for the last several years, we've been doing that. We've been going up $1 to $2 a year. We've been going up on carts, $1 here, $1 there a year. Our season passes, we've gone up as little as $25 a year and as much as $200 a year. Ever since the COVID hit back in 2020, that was our biggest loss. You had businesses closing that year. We were able to, make a decent amount of money, and we didn't open the course that year until I think the middle of May. So we lost a quarter of our revenue there, and we weren't allowed to have carts that year until halfway through the season. So that was a tough year. Ever since then, we've been able to go up little by little, not only keep the golfer, but bring in more with the great condition of the golf course, bring in more tournaments with the great condition of the golf course. And don't forget, I think somebody said in public input, or maybe Commissioner Roback said, those golfers, whether they're from Chicopee or from China, which we have had golfers from China, they will stay in the area, whether it's overnight, if they're here for the weekend, visit our area restaurants. That's the part that doesn't show up in Sharon's report. That money that is going to the city is not in this report. That's what the golf course brings. Added revenue right there. So.
Okay, thank you. All right, I just want to tell, and again, I know a little bit about it, but since we're doing this publicly, I'd like for people that keep asking me questions that I don't have the answers, is a golden time to ask it. Can you just talk a minute about the clubhouse, the food, the liquor license, and all that? How does that all work? Is it? I know it goes out to bid. Can you just explain the whole process real quick, and what revenue do we get from it?
Sure. That basically the vendor it goes out to lease every 3 years. It goes out to bid every 3 years. They lease it from the city. They pay us a monthly rent. Our golf season is typically open 8 months out of the year. April, the beginning of April to the end of November, and those are the months they pay us the lease. As far as the liquor license, it is held in the golf commission's name, but once we open for business, they take that over. So any liability is on the vendor for that.
Okay.
And that does go out to bid every 3 years.
Okay, so then is there any other way, would you say that the city or that would, to raise to revenue, to make more money? Is there anything out there that we could do with that area to raise money? Whether it's golf or maybe there's a side thing that could be done with the property. Again, I've never walked it, but are you flat out full in the area? I don't know it.
Yeah, our revenue comes through rounds of golf and cart fees, and a very small percentage from the food and beverage, the lease that they pay us. But the best way for us to increase revenue is through golf rounds, through season passes, through carts, and the season pass of the carts. And by going up little by little, that's the best way for us to make revenue. And we do have a pro shop.
I was just going to say that.
We do have a driving range. Those are basically our 2 revolving accounts. And what I mean by that is, and Sharon can correct me if I'm wrong, we sell merchandise in our pro shop: golf balls, hats, apparel, golf clubs, bags, anything for the golfer. Our driving range, people can go down there. They don't have to play. Anybody that's driving by can go down there and pay for a basket of balls. We also sell range passes for the season. The money that is made in each one of those departments, which is the golf shop and the driving range, that's a way that we can make revenue. For instance, what I mean by that, we just needed 2 pieces of equipment for our golf course. We had so much available funds in there that we were able to go to city council, ask to use funds out of the golf shop and out of the driving range to pay for those 2 pieces of equipment. So that's another way that we make money. And by the way, that also is not on the fiscal year report that we get from auditing. So that is another way we do make money.
Although I do have it.
Do you have the amount?
It's not part of the general fund, so I don't include it on the golf report because, you know, the golf course is funded by the tax levy and the revenue they generate goes into the general fund.
Do you have
revolving funds are chapter 4453 E.5.
What's that?
Revolving funds, and currently there are 3. You have a balance in your golf advertising account, and that was started years ago when they were selling bricks. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but there's still a balance in there of over $10,000.
And we also do sell tea monuments
Right.
to local businesses that want to put their advertising on our teas.
And currently, the pro shop account is kind of, 4453 E&a-half revolvings are supposed to be program related. You charge a fee, like for the golf pro shop to replenish, to sell, to replenish. But anything where there's a profit, it can be expended for any lawful purpose. That's why they appropriate it when they need to buy a piece of equipment. There's $76,808 in there, and their driving range has just under $40,000 when somebody rents a bucket of balls, and and they use that money if they have to replace netting or whatever, any cost related to the driving range or for any other purpose. If there's a piece of equipment to go around and pick up the balls, whatever.
So there's about 120,000 in that account.
And they also have a donation account with a small amount of money in it. $4,297 is sitting there. Mm-hmm. So there's about 131 in their funds that are other than general fund.
And they can use that money to buy equipment through the city council.
Yes.
Or stuff like that. Okay. I'm going to go around one more time with the city council, then we'll have you speak if you would like again, if you wanted to talk. Shane, do you have any other comments before my last round?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Gary?
I'm all set. Thank you.
George?
Also right now.
Bob?
Just one question, and everything you just told us about the revolving accounts,
130.
any of that money, which has come to approximately $135,000, the golf commissioners have to come before the council to use any of that money. Am I correct? They can't just use it.
If it's for the program, they can expend things. If they want to use it for another purpose, they come to city council.
So that's not being shown as their income, is it?
No.
It isn't.
No, they're set up in a different fund. It's not part of golf revenue in the general fund when we're saying, are they in the black or are they in the red? They're revolving funds. They're in a different accounting fund, separate. Each one is set up separately where we track the revenues and any expenditures. And basically what it's been used for is to buy merchandise for the pro shop, or they come to the city council and they've used it to purchase equipment when they've needed to. And that's what they've done when they've had ample monies to be able to do so, rather than take it from free cash or stabilization fund.
One just question to Mike. Anytime you've come before the council, have we ever denied you money from that revolving account?
Not to my knowledge.
For the course?
No, every time I think we come, the council has okayed whatever we need from those accounts to purchase.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to finalize with one question. It was brought up at public input. Does any city councilor serve on any of your commissions? The city councilors?
At the current time, no.
Nobody?
Nope.
Was there before?
Nope.
Okay.
Not while I was director.
Because I didn't think so, and if it did, I would like to know that. Should be a good question. Okay, with that being said, commissioners, you had your hand up for a minute. I'll give you one more round of yes.
Oh yeah, I kind of come up with a couple of items here. First of all, I want to clarify something too. You're talking about the city councilors being on the golf course. I've been hearing in the last month or two, the commissioners are all done with their free golf. I want to make it plain and clear right here. Nobody gets free golf at Chicopee Country Club. Nobody. Like that ad. Nobody beats Chicopee Country Club. Everybody pays except the players at Chicopee Comp and Chicopee High School, the teams. They practice there. Michael gives them pointers. They use the range and they use the putting green. But nobody on the outside that we know of, unless they cut through the fence, plays free golf. And and also on the fees, our fees are adjusted, but we always take in consideration of the resident, because we know the resident does pay taxes in the city. So the resident's fee will always be a little bit lower than the non-resident. And the other thing is, Sharon, how much percent of our budget is of the city budget?
Probably less than 1%.
Less than 1% of the city budget?
Just around 1%, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And also, we don't get any grants. We try to pursue them.
Stay to your mic. Get closer to your mic. You're fading away from the mic.
Microphone.
Yeah.
Oh,
please.
city grants. We pursue them, but we can't find them. You know, I mean, believe me, we try. It's not like we're not trying to get city grants. There's nothing out there for golf courses. If anybody has anything like in that area, please come to us. Come to Michael. We'll gradually, we'll be more than happy to pursue this kind of a thing. And also the city gets a lot of state grants and stuff like that for a couple of years, and then they go away, and the city ends up paying for it. I mean, I wish we had that kind of a thing, but we don't have it. And us also, we do go through, sometimes we do for maintenance. We have no maintenance department to work on the physical, the buildings and stuff like that. The, you know, the heating, the air, we have to contract that out. We don't have anybody that'll actually come in and do it. Once in a while, the superintendent of the schools, he would help us out, but they're so busy now, they can't even do that. Superintendent of DPW, they would come up, do some forestry work for us once in a while, in the off season in the winter. They're down to a couple of men in the department, and they really can't give us any time. So we have to pay for that now. Trees come down, there's some thinning, and we need some brush cutting to get around greens and stuff to get some airflow. You need airflow is very important around the greens and tee boxes. So those are why we do have to go out to contract. It's not because we wanna, because we have to. I think that's gonna be it on me, I believe. Oh, important. I did say about the AJGA tournament. The local reported economic impact in 2023 was $346,899. And since 2018, they've brought in $1,198,307 into the area. We ask them every year for an impact report, and they gladly give us one. They tell us which states were representative, the player field, the net visitors on the course, countries representative. And basically they kind of break down the visitor spending, administrative costs, and stuff like that. It's not like they just come in there and play golf. We do benefit from them. The city benefits from them. And I believe that I'm done.
Your time is up.
My time's up.
Okay. Seeing that's done, the committee's done, the city council, I believe it's done. I'll take a motion.
Motion to place on file.
Motion made in second to place on file. Roll call.
Laflamme?
Yes.
Zagorowski?
Yes.
Bellicare?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Labrie?
Yes.
And the motion passes. Councilor Brooks is by Zoom. Okay, I'd like to first thank the commissioners for coming in to explain a lot of this, and the auditor for coming in tonight to explain it. I know it's a difficult thing to do, to come in front of everybody, have all the answers, but I encourage city councilors, as I say, when I got sworn in as president of the board, and I'll say it again, if you need something, please reach out to the commissioners or the department heads. They can help you with some of these answers. If not, you have the right to bring it before the board and have we're done.
One last thing.
No, we're done. It's closed. So please do that if you can. Okay. I'm sorry, once we close it, we close it. We already took a vote.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to invite them up for a tour.
Motion to approve the minutes of October 24th, 2024.
Motion made second to approve the minutes of, I'm sorry, what?
October 24th, 2024.
October 24th, 2023.
Should be,
Excuse me, gentlemen,
that's
that should be 23.
I got it.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
got them.
The misprint.
Sorry.
No, it's 23 on mine. Okay, roll call.
Laflamme?
Yes.
Zagorowski?
Yes.
Bellicare?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Labrie?
Yes.
And the motion passes. Okay. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made in second to adjourn. Roll call.
Laflamme?
Yes.
Zagorowski.
Yes.
Valakir.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yeah.
Labrie.
Yes.
And the motion passes. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.